Every year, Apple releases a normal iPhone model and a Pro iPhone model. But this year, Apple has completely thrown out their usual playbook on how they differentiate these phone models. So forget everything you know about the normal iPhone and the Pro iPhone, because these phones have never been more alike. And that is going to lead to a lot of confusion about who really needs to upgrade to the Pro model this year. But don't worry, I'm going to make it super simple and super clear, talking about which iPhone model is right for you. And believe me, it's gonna blow your mind. Or save money. You'll save some money probably. All right, let's start with the phone designs, because on the front, these phones now look identical, because they are. They both have the same 6.3-inch display size with ultra narrow bezels, and unlike previous years where the Pro models will get the most advanced display tech, this year, Apple has decided to grace normal users with that same display technology. So both phones have 3,000 nits of brightness with a new anti-reflective display that makes these phones better than ever to use in brighter environments. When I was using both phones outside, I could definitely not see any difference in these displays. Both phones also get the same 120Hz ProMotion display for smoother scrolling and animations, and both phones feature an always-on display. There are 0 differences between the displays this year. So if that was one of your only criteria before for stepping up to the Pro model, well, now you don't have to spend extra money this year. Both phones also get the same new front-facing 18-megapixel center stage camera, which overall has better image quality and can automatically extend the camera view to fit in more people for a selfie. And you can actually automatically flip the camera from horizontal to vertical as well, or do it with the press of a button. So literally, these are the same exact phones on the front, but flip over the iPhones and now you're going to see a massive difference, because the Pro models do have a new design with a giant camera plateau, as Apple calls it, and a two-tone finish on the back that is definitely going to let everyone know you have the latest iPhone model. Whereas the regular iPhone 17, well, it kind of just looks like an iPhone 16. But don't be fooled by this radical new design on the 17 Pro, because it actually has more in common with the regular 17 this year, because Apple switched away from using a premium metal like titanium or stainless steel, as they always have used to differentiate the Pro models as the more premium looking devices. And instead this year, they reverted to using just aluminum, like they do on the normal iPhone models. Now, it's not the same exact design, because the 17 Pro does utilize a unibody aluminum frame, where if you look at the kind of curvature from the sides to the back, you'll see it's one continuous aluminum body, which wraps around to meet the phone to the glass cutout panel in the center, so it can still wirelessly charge. Whereas on the normal iPhone 17, there's more of a sharp divide between the aluminum frame and the full glass back. Now, in the hand, without a case, I would say the 17 Pro, when it meets your palm, feels a bit softer without that sharp divide. But there's also a weakness to this new Pro design, and that is just how thick Apple has made these Pro phone models. Both the Pro and the Pro Max gain an extra ½ inch in thickness. While the normal iPhone 17 does get a little thicker this year, it is not as drastic as the Pro models, which are almost 1 inch thicker than the normal iPhone 17s. On top of that, the base 17 is also lighter by about 30 grams, and overall, due to the extra thickness and weight, I would say the 17 edges out the Pro in overall handling and comfort. Like if you're using these phones for a while, using the normal 17 is going to be less fatiguing. Now, durability is kind of a big open question. Like I said, the fronts of these phones are exactly the same. They have Apple's new ceramic shield, which has even more scratch resistance. But the interesting thing about the Pro is it also gets this new ceramic shield on the back to help prevent it from fall damage and also, I guess, scratches, whereas the normal 17 doesn't get this. Now, I haven't done any sort of durability tests or torture tests on these phones. I imagine they're both gonna be pretty durable, but the one thing I will say is there is kind of a problem with the anodization process on the iPhone 17 Pro. Spoiler alert, they come in very bright, vibrant colors, and because that aluminum is a unibody aluminum that wraps around to the back, whereas this is glass, the chances of that aluminum getting scuffed up might be a little bit more likely. There's been something called Scratchgate going on online. I don't know how blown out of proportion this is, because this is based on a lot of people's torture tests, but I will say for my own model, and this is very kind of microscopic, but I can even see it sitting right here. I do see two little indentations on the bottom here, basically two little scuff marks where you can see the silver aluminum peeking out. Now, I'll show you this on like a macro camera so you can really see it. But yeah, there's definitely some little scuff marks on my orange 17 Pro. I've only had this for a few days at this point. So if cosmetic damage like that bothers you, the iPhone 17 glass back definitely won't show signs of wear like this. Or I guess you could just pick like a silver iPhone 17 Pro. Speaking of colors, the options for the 17 Pro are pretty limited. You can get silver, deep blue, or my favorite cosmic orange, and that's it. The normal iPhone 17 has a wider array of colors that will probably please more people, like black. Imagine that, a black phone, what an innovation. White, mist, blue, lavender, and my favorite, sage, or let's be honest, matcha. This is the matcha phone. So same aluminum material, same display size, same display quality. What's the catch here? There's gotta be something different here, right? Well, there is, and it's in 3 key areas. The first is battery life. One of the reasons the Pro model got thicker this year was to fit a bigger battery inside of it. Apple says the iPhone 17 Pro will get you 33 hours of video playback, while the normal 17 will get you 30 hours. Now, Apple stats only measure just playing video offline continuously, which is a pretty non-realistic way to measure battery life performance. But in real-world usage, I find that the 17 Pro is looking to get about like 2 hours extra in battery life. Now, I'm not one to do unrealistic battery tests comparing every iPhone model because, you know, battery life varies from person to person. Different situations can drain your battery faster. Like a weak cell signal can just wreak havoc on your battery life. It's definitely not because I'm lazy, right? But Tom's Guide does do a really good battery life test, and they said the iPhone 17 Pro can get you 15 hours and 32 minutes of continuous web surfing, while the iPhone 17 gets 12 hours and 47 minutes. That's kind of similar to Apple's claims with their video tests, right? Like you're getting about 2 to 3 hours more in battery life usage. So if you are someone that is glued to their phone, that extra battery in the 17 Pro could be a reason to upgrade. Or you could just pick up a slim MagSafe battery pack. Well, unfortunately, the one that Apple sells only fits the iPhone Air and doesn't fit the other 17 models, which is why I prefer the Anker Nano Power Bank, because it is also a magnetic wireless charger that is just as slim as the iPhone Air's MagSafe battery, while somehow also featuring a bigger 5,000 milliamp hour capacity. In fact, it is the slimmest 5,000 milliamp hour wireless charger on the market and charges at faster 15-watt charging speeds. And it is designed to work with any MagSafe iPhone, not just the iPhone Air. So you can slap this on the back of an iPhone 17, an iPhone 17 Pro, or yes, even the iPhone Air. And another cool thing about the iPhone 17 and 17 Pro is they also feature faster charging times, up to 50% in just 20 minutes. But you need a new 40-watt adapter to take advantage of that. And once again, Anker comes out ahead with the Anker Nano 45-watt charger. It is the most compact foldable charger I have ever seen. I cannot believe this actually fast charges my iPhone, and it is smaller than Apple's official 40-watt charger and costs less too. To pick up any of these Anker products for your iPhone 17, check out the link in the description below, and thank you to Anker for sponsoring this video. Now, the second big difference for the 17 and the 17 Pro are the chips. The 17 uses a regular A19 chip with 6 CPU cores and 5 GPU cores, whereas the iPhone 17 Pro, of course, uses an A19 Pro with 6 CPU cores and 6 GPU cores, which honestly, based on my own benchmarks, it looks like, at least in terms of CPU performance, the A19 and A19 Pro are almost identical. However, looking at the chip doesn't tell the full story, because the iPhone 17 Pro has enhanced cooling thanks to a vapor chamber cooling system, which basically means that for tasks that are really demanding, like gaming, editing, recording 4K video, or maybe even just using your phone on a really hot day, that extra cooling performance in the 17 Pro can make sure that your phone not only runs faster at peak performance, but may even lead to some quality of life improvements, like maybe your display brightness won't have to throttle and lower as much when your phone is overheating. But in my real world usage, I have yet to see this really play out, because temperatures haven't been too hot on the East Coast during the iPhone testing. For example, I was using these phones outside side by side next to each other for a little while, and both seemed to handle brightness levels really well, and both phones did not get overly hot. I even tested the most demanding game I own on the iPhone, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and both the iPhone 17 and Pro looked exactly the same graphically, and both looked to be playing the game at 30 frames per second. So I don't really think I'm seeing the benefits of the vapor chamber cooling during my own use cases just yet. That being said, who knows in the future, right? If I go outside on a hot day, if I do a ton of 5G streaming, if I'm, recording a lot of 4K video, if I'm playing more demanding games at longer, gaming sessions, I am sure that extra cooling will come in handy. But I hope I'm kind of showing you that in this video that for most users, it probably shouldn't be a consideration to spend extra money on the Pro model. The final reason, and this one is probably the most obvious reason to upgrade to the Pro model, is for the camera. But it might not be in the way you think. Now, on paper, there are differences between the sensors and focal lengths of the 17 camera system versus the Pro. But in my side-by-side testing, these phones look pretty much identical in their default shooting mode, and that now goes for both the regular wide-angle lens and the ultra-wide-angle lens, because the normal 17 has 48 megapixels on both of them, and so does the Pro. And it actually makes the upgrade path to the Pro pretty easy to explain this year, given how similar the camera systems perform. And this creates a pretty easy separation on the main camera modes for the 17 and 17 Pro. Because the difference for most people is that, yes, the 17 Pro has an extra zoom lens that goes farther than ever before. Now, optically, this is just a 4x zoom, which is actually less than the 5x that was on the 16 Pro Max model. But what Apple did this year was to upgrade the sensor on this camera to 48 megapixels to match the other two camera sensors. And basically, this sensor with its higher resolution allows Apple to pull off the same trick that they do with the 1x lens, where you can crop into that sensor to use a 12 megapixel readout to get a 2x photo, which is kind of like mimicking a 2x optical lens. They're doing the same thing for the zoom on the 4x lens. They crop in, and that now becomes an 8x 12 megapixel lens. But forget all the technicalities of how Apple does this. The only thing you need to know is, does this zoom lens provide farther, more detailed, and cleaner shots than the previous model? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. I was actually pretty impressed by the 8x mode on the iPhone 17 Pro. I took a lot of photos in different lighting situations, and having that extra reach let me zoom into buildings or far off subjects and capture a really different perspective that I haven't been able to capture with my iPhone before. Now, obviously, anyone into photography is gonna want that extra zoom lens, but even for basic users, let's say non-pro users, this is a feature you might appreciate. Let's say you're in the bleachers and your kid is playing baseball or whatever sports ball they play, and you wanna take a photo of them. Well, now you can zoom in, take a photo of them, and it will look nice. Or let's say you're on a hike, you see like an animal in the distance, you want to take a photo of it without scaring it off? Well, now you can do that with the Pro model, and doing it with this phone maybe might be doable with like the 2x mode, you zoom into like a digital 5x, but it's not going to be as clear or crisp as it can be on the 17 Pro. Now, I actually think the real value of the 17 Pro isn't that it has this additional zoom lens. The real value with the Pro is that it has more flexibility when it comes to editing photos and videos. That's because the 17 Pro has exclusive camera-related software features that allow it in the photo department to capture PRORAW photos, which allows you to have a lot more control over editing your own photos in post-production, and just removes a lot of the over-the-top smartphone processing that takes place when you take a normal photo. You even get that flexibility in the video department because the 17 Pro can shoot 4K at higher frame rates, up to 120 frames per second, and it can also record in PRORES and in log video, which gives you kind of the same flexibility that PRORAW photos gives you when you go to color grade that video in post-production. And that flexibility goes to other areas of the phone as well. The 17 Pro has a faster USB-C port with USB-C 3.1 speeds, while the iPhone 17 has a very slow USB 2 port, which is fine for charging and maybe small data transfers, but if you're offloading a lot of large video files, the Pro is a must. I also like the flexibility of the microphone system on the 17 Pro with its studio quality microphones. It sounds better than the normal 17, and it's just another area where you get even more flexibility with the recording capabilities, not just for photos or videos, but for audio as well. Now, unless you're a techie and more specifically a camera nerd, I probably overcomplicate all that. And even honestly, I am not like the best at editing video or color grading and all that stuff. And even I barely know this stuff, right? So I think what a normal user wants to know is, can you do basic video editing? Like if you're trimming a video or making slight color adjustments or applying a filter to your video, well, then the normal iPhone 17 is fine. You really don't need to know about all these advanced features that the 17 Pro has. But if you are someone that already edits video and you want full control over how that video or photo looks, then yeah, you're gonna want the full-fledged camera of the iPhone 17 Pro. And that ultimately leads to the question, should you get an iPhone 17 or should you get an iPhone 17 Pro? Well, I think the decision is actually very easy this year. The iPhone 17 represents the best value in the iPhone lineup, and one of the best valued iPhones I have personally ever used. It gets the most features most people would have wanted from the Pro iPhone from last year, which means you no longer have to spend more money to get a better display. On top of that, Apple increasing the starting storage to 256 gigabytes without raising the price is a great move, whereas the iPhone 17 Pro now starts at $300 more than the 17. The price difference between these models is more drastic than it was last year. And that $300 upgrade to the Pro model for most users isn't worth it because you get an almost identical experience on the regular 17. However, of course, there is a clear differentiator between the capabilities of the camera system. And if you are an advanced user, basically the word Pro this year actually means Pro. And that's where the decision gets easy, because this year Apple has made a clear line in the sand on what user should get the regular iPhone 17 and what user should get the iPhone 17 Pro. Because I don't think the iPhone 17 Pro represents the sleekest, most premium iPhone in the lineup anymore. And the most important consumer-facing features are on the regular model now. And unlike previous years, where there was a few gotchas or storage pain points that hurt the base models, this year, there isn't. So for anyone looking for a new iPhone, the iPhone 17 is the one to get. Now, that's not saying the Pro model isn't worth it for some users, but you really have to be able to take advantage of a few key areas to make it worth the $300 upgrade. So that's a combination of factors like better thermals, better battery life, the extra zoom lens, and probably the real area where it's worth it for a very small set of users are those Pro camera formats and capabilities. But that is my take on the iPhone 17 versus the iPhone 17 Pro. Let me know in the comments below, which phone would you pick and why? And if you did buy one already, let me know which one you went with. As always, I hope this video helped you out in making an informed decision. If it did, consider giving me a like. If you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.